Well, I think the first point is that this isn't actually a poll, as YouGov said in their own website. They call it a study, and it uses the words multi-level regression and post-stratification technique, which sounds very much like they are positioning themselves as experts, which have perhaps gone out of favour. I think the point here is that this is wholly irresponsible. It's a new technique that hasn't been applied before. It involves basically a polling size of 75 people per constituency. They say they've used the American 2016 election as a base, but the constituencies in the US states that they poll are much bigger. So this is actually a wholly irresponsible study. I think it's hugely wrong for the reasons in my article today in the Telegraph, which explained why we've been able to predict all of those previous elections. For example, we said Vote Leave would get 52% and the outcome was 51.9%. So I think that the media and the political parties spend many millions of pounds. It's not YouGov funding this sample size of their own pockets. They charge for this. And if I was the media or the political parties, I'd be asking for my money back, because you'd have more success predicting the election by tossing a coin than looking at YouGov previous predictions.
Oh, there you go. That was a bit of an emoji eye roll there, Joe. Go on.
I would reject the idea that this is anything other than a scientific approach to these things. The suggestion that we always get things wrong is just not borne out. The suggestion that we have not used this technique before is not even accurate. If you go onto our website, you can see the success that this technique, this modelling technique of the sample data that we have, 7,000 surveys a day, every day, collected and aggregated. We ran a very similar process for the 2016 EU referendum, and actually it predicted that we would leave. And so we are confident that it will be accurate in this respect. And to say, all right, well, the result at the moment is going to be different on polling day. Well, I completely agree. It may very well be different on polling day. We don't know how things will change. The reason that the polls are conducted is to provide insight to where the situation is at the moment and why that is the situation. And so it's from the polls that you can identify, for instance, the fact that young people overwhelmingly are favouring Labour, that older people overwhelmingly favour Conservative. You're not going to get that from interviewing a few people or simply from talking about canvass returns or speaking to pundits. It's the polling that gives the information and the granularity of this, and that's why we are paid not just for our political polls, but for the 95% of our work that is not political polls, embracing the experts we have in this country, such as Ben Lauderdale from the London School of Economics, and abroad, Doug Rivers from the University of Stanford and his team of data scientists work extremely hard for YouGov to ensure that we are in the best place possible. Can I promise that on election day the result will be the same as this? No, of course not. Okay. It's very likely that things will change, and may change significantly. We've seen up until this point that there have been huge movements in the poll, given the fluidity of the public opinion.
We hear you, Michael.
Well, the YouGov poll just before the EU referendum said Remain would win by 4%. As a result, the pound jumped. We've just seen their study announced this morning in the Times, and sterling has plummeted, which means it's going to add to UK inflation. It's going to make anyone going on holiday their pound worth less. This is irresponsible in the way that they are presenting this information, and they are going to be wrong. I can assure your viewers.
If we have this poll, should we not publish it? Is that the claim? Is the claim that when we have conducted this work, we have conducted this study, we should not publish? Or should we publish in a transparent way and make it clear that there are caveats attached to us, that there is a margin of error, and that it is then up for people to go onto our website and make the judgment for themselves? Is the claim that we should simply not publish? Because surely that would be bias in its own way.
Michael?
I don't suggest that you shouldn't publish what you think, but you should certainly caveat that this particular study is not a poll, and that's how it's been reported. I think that it's actually the way that the methodology has been done is unsound, and I think that the events will prove themselves right. Remember, the YouGov also suggested that just before the general election in 2015, that the vote share would be 34% for Labour and Conservative. It was wrong by 6%. It was wrong 4%. and these are at the last minute polls, not polls during the election campaign. So I just say that your track record isn't very good, and I stand by my track record. My own track record stands for itself.
Joe?
And you told Advertising Age that Hillary Clinton would win by 10 to 20%. We said that she would win the national vote by 3.8%. She actually won the national vote by 2%. To suggest that you are some kind of sage who is all-seeing, I think is just not accurate. We all make judgments. We all have expectations about where we think polling will go. But the polling that we have published is only ever a snapshot of public opinion at the moment. And I would advise anyone who's interested in the methodology to go onto the website, which is live now, and look at it in great detail, because all the information is up there, including where it has been used successfully before.
We can all be wrong, Michael, including you.
We all can be.
So you accept that the point that Joe's making there?
Yes, I absolutely. The point about the UK elections is we actually go out and talk to people. What we do in our what we call polling calibration methodology is very simple. We take all of the different polling data from all of the different companies, including, for example, ComRes, which is showing a 12% lead for Conservatives and 100 majority, and we apply what we do in advertising, which is understanding consumers and their behaviour, and we do that in the UK. Okay. I admit that in America we did not do that process, but here we have done it in the UK. The last 5 elections we've been more accurate than all the other polling companies put together.
And what's your prediction, Michael?
Well, I'm saying there'll be a 3-figure majority. At this stage, it'll be about 103 to 108. I might clarify that as we get nearer to polling day, but I'm prepared to stand.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.